The year is 1939, a year that will forever be etched in the annals of history. The world watches in horror as the dark clouds of war gather over Europe. The tension is palpable and the fear is real. Hitler's armies are on the move. Poland falls swiftly under the relentless assault. The Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, leaves devastation in its wake. The Second World War has begun. Nations are drawn into the conflict, alliances are tested, and the world is plunged into chaos. In this maelstrom of evil, a beacon of hope still flickers. Amidst the turmoil, the Vatican City stands as a symbol of peace and resilience. The Vatican City, a tiny nation within a city, stands as a symbol of peace. Its walls have seen centuries of history, and now they witness a world at war. At its helm is Pope Pius XII, a man thrust into a world teetering on the brink. Europe is ablaze, and the Pope faces an unprecedented challenge. Millions suffer under the Nazi jackboot. The oppression is widespread, and the cries of the innocent echo through the lands. Hitler's grip tightens, casting a long shadow even on the Vatican's doorstep. The threat is imminent, and the stakes are higher than ever. The Pope, a staunch opponent of Nazism, becomes a target. His unwavering stance against the tyranny of Hitler makes him a beacon of hope for many. His very existence is an obstacle to Hitler's vision of a new world order. The Pope's defiance is a thorn in the side of the Nazi regime. A world where the Nazi ideology reigns supreme. The vision is one of absolute control, where dissent is crushed and freedom is a distant memory. Yet in the face of such darkness, resistance movements begin to form. Ordinary people, driven by a desire for freedom, take extraordinary risks to oppose the Nazi regime. The Vatican, under the leadership of Pope Pius XII, undertakes numerous humanitarian efforts, sheltering refugees, providing aid and offering a glimmer of hope to those in despair. Secret meetings and covert operations become the order of the day. The Vatican's network of informants and allies work tirelessly to undermine the Nazi occupation. As the war rages on, the landscape of Europe is forever altered. Cities lie in ruins, but the spirit of the people remains unbroken. The struggle for freedom continues, and the shadow of war looms large over the world. Pope Pius XII, a complex and controversial figure, walks a tightrope. His papacy is marked by the tumultuous times of World War II, a period that demands both moral clarity and strategic diplomacy. As the leader of the Catholic Church, he is expected to be a beacon of hope and a voice of moral authority. Yet the path he treads is fraught with peril and ambiguity. He condemns the horrors of war, but his words often lack the fire that many yearn for. His speeches, though filled with sorrow and lamentation, do not always carry the vehement denunciation that the world expects. Critics argue that his measured tone and cautious approach fail to match the urgency of the times. He chooses diplomacy, working behind the scenes to save lives. In the shadows, he orchestrates efforts to protect the persecuted, leveraging the Vatican's influence to negotiate safe passages and asylum for those in dire need. His actions, though not always visible, are driven by a deep commitment to humanitarian principles. But his silence on certain issues, particularly the Holocaust, will be debated for decades to come. Historians and scholars will scrutinize his every move, questioning whether his silence was a strategic choice or a moral failing. The weight of this silence will cast a long shadow over his legacy, yet Hitler sees only an enemy. To the Führer, Pope Pius XII represents a formidable adversary, a symbol of resistance against the Nazi regime's ideology. The Pope's moral authority and the global reach of the Catholic Church pose a significant threat to Hitler's vision of absolute control. The Pope's moral authority, his global influence, it all rankles the Nazi high command. They view him as a destabilizing force capable of rallying millions against their cause. The very essence of his spiritual leadership stands in stark contrast to their brutal and oppressive tactics. They fear his power, the power of faith in a time of darkness. In an era where hope is scarce, the Pope's unwavering faith and the Church's enduring presence offer a glimmer of light. This light, however faint, is enough to unsettle the Nazi leadership. A plan begins to take shape in the twisted minds of Hitler's inner circle: eliminate the Pope. The idea of silencing such a potent symbol of defiance becomes a sinister objective. They plot and scheme, envisioning a world where the Pope's voice is forever muted. Silence the voice of defiance. The plan is not just to remove a man, but to extinguish the hope and faith he represents. In their eyes, silencing the Pope would be a victory over the very essence of resistance and moral fortitude. Word reaches the Vatican, whispers of a plot, rumors of assassins. The threat is real. Hitler, obsessed with crushing his enemies, will stop at nothing. He sees the Vatican as a center of resistance, a rallying point for his opponents. Nazi official, the plan is audacious. Infiltrate Rome, capture the Pope, spirit him away to Germany. It's a long shot, fraught with danger, but we are emboldened by our early victories. We believe we can bend the world to our will. The plan, codenamed Operation Commando, is as audacious as it is evil. Elite SS units are chosen. Their mission: infiltrate the Vatican and kidnap Pope Pius XII. The commandos, veterans of countless battles, are chosen for their ruthlessness and loyalty to the Nazi cause. Nazi official, we plan to strike under the cover of darkness, using the chaos of war as our shield. The fate of the Pope and indeed the Catholic world hangs in the balance, but we have underestimated the Vatican's resolve and the bravery of those who would stand against the Nazi tide. Section 5, the Vatican's secret army. The Vatican may be a small state, but it has protectors. Historian 1, a secret network of loyalists, both within the Vatican walls and beyond, rallies to the Pope's defense. They are ordinary men and women thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Priests, nuns, and lay people risk their lives to gather intelligence, smuggle messages, and shelter refugees. At the heart of this resistance is the Swiss Guard, the Pope's personal army. Bound by duty and faith, they stand ready to defend the Vatican to the death. Section 6. The Allies to the rescue. In the midst of World War II, the Allies faced numerous challenges, but none as urgent as the threat posed by the Nazi regime's sinister plans. Word of the Nazi plan reaches Allied ears. The intelligence community is abuzz with the news, and the gravity of the situation is immediately understood. Historian 2, the Allies, locked in a bitter struggle against Hitler, recognize the danger. They know that the Nazi plan, if successful, could have devastating consequences, not just for Europe, but for the entire world. The Pope's safety becomes a priority. Secret operations are launched. These missions are shrouded in secrecy, with only the most trusted agents involved. Their goal: infiltrate Rome and thwart the Nazi plot. The streets of Rome become a battleground, with every shadow hiding potential danger. Italian resistance member, among them are brave Italian partisans, risking everything to fight for their country's liberation. These partisans are not just soldiers, they're ordinary citizens who have taken up arms to defend their homeland. They know every street, every alleyway. Their intimate knowledge of the city is invaluable to the Allied forces. They are the eyes and ears of the resistance, feeding vital information to the Allies. Every piece of intelligence they gather is a step closer to thwarting the Nazi plan. A race against time ensues, a desperate struggle to save the Pope from the clutches of evil. The stakes are incredibly high, and failure is not an option. The combined efforts of the Allies and the Italian resistance create a powerful force, united in their mission to protect the Pope and preserve the hope of freedom. Section 7. Foiling the plot. The Nazis are closing in. Tension grips the Vatican. The Swiss Guard, outnumbered and outgunned, prepare for the worst.
But the Allies are one step ahead. Hidden within the city, they work tirelessly to disrupt the Nazi timetable, to buy precious time.
Acts of sabotage become commonplace. Communication lines are cut, supplies are destroyed, the Nazi plan begins to unravel, their confidence shaken, their timetable in disarray. The Nazi commandos find themselves surrounded by enemies, both seen and unseen. Section 8, Rome liberated June 4th, 1944. A day of jubilation, Allied forces liberate Rome. The Nazi plan lies in ruins. Pope Pius XII is safe. The city, spared from the worst of the fighting, erupts in celebration.
The bells of St. Peter's Basilica ring out, a symphony of freedom echoing across the Tiber. The Nazi plan to kidnap the Pope has failed. Their dreams of crushing the spirit of resistance lie shattered. The resilience of the human spirit, the courage of those who dare to resist, has prevailed. But the war is far from over.
Section 9, the legacy of courage. The story of the plot to kidnap Pope Pius IV is a testament to the enduring power of hope in the face of evil. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there are those who will stand up for what is right, regardless of the cost.
The Pope's survival, though mired in controversy, remains a symbol of resistance against tyranny. It's a story that continues to inspire, to remind us that we all have a role to play in the fight for freedom and justice.
Section 10, Discover More. The story of the plot to kidnap Pope Pius XII is just one of many untold stories from World War II. We encourage you to delve deeper into this fascinating and important period of history. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to explore more untold stories from our past. Let's keep the conversation going. Together, we can learn from history and build a better future.